Hi, everybody. Joe Cioffi here. Weather in 5 days in 5 minutes. And coming up tonight on the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast, we've got this weekend weather system we're going to talk about with snow and rain for the mid Atlantic and the Northeast, depending on where you are. And then a major storm that's going to develop in the southern plains Monday night and Tuesday and head for the Great Lakes. And that's going to have an impact over much of the eastern half of the United States before it's all said and done in all sorts of ways. And we will discuss that as well. That's tonight on the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast at 7:35 p.m. Eastern Time. All right, taking a look at what's happening on the satellite loop as we head into late afternoon and evening. You got the sunset line starting to move westward on the satellite, and the northeast weather today. Well, a lot of areas had to deal with some cloud cover, particularly inland areas in northern Pennsylvania through upstate New York and interior New England, back across the Great Lakes and the northern plains. So we have this northwest jet that's running from Canada into the northeast, and it's bringing little disturbances along. It's also suppressing this area of clouds and moisture that's in the southeastern part of the United States, and that is looking to slide underneath all of this. If you just sort of follow the flow here, you've got these westerly winds aloft to the north, and then you've got the southern part of the jet stream moving along in its own way. So all of this to the south is going to slide out offshore and move away from the coast with no problems. However, we look out to the west in California, and we've got a rather significant system that has moved inland, and of course, this is going to be the player for the weekend. And behind that is the system that is going to be the player for the let's call it the middle part of next week. It's actually late Tuesday into Wednesday. On the radar right now, as we take a look at the national radar, here's the stuff that's in the southeastern part of the United States. Got rain in Georgia and Alabama, now moving into South Carolina and Tennessee. Some of the higher elevations in western North Carolina might see some snow out of this as it heads east northeastward. And again, most of that slides out to the south. Not a whole heck of a lot going on in the northeast and around the Great Lakes, just some little patches of light snows. But you can see these areas here that are dotting the radar map. They pretty much mark these little upper air disturbances that are moving along. And then out in the west, we have that more important weather system that has moved inland that is going to be the player for this weekend. Now, let's start off with liquid precip over the next 7 days because it is going to be substantial. This is WPC's forecast for liquid precipitation. Now, bear in mind this goes out for 7 days, and this covers both the weekend system and the one for later Tuesday into Wednesday. This takes us right into Wednesday evening is the ending period, Wednesday, January 10th. And you're looking at total precip of 2.5 to 3 inches when you melt it all down. A lot of this is going to be rain because bulk of this is going to come with that second system, but we've got significant moisture here up and down the eastern seaboard from Maine all the way down to northern Florida. In fact, we have an area of 5 inches plus there in northern Florida, 3 inches plus extending through Georgia, western, south, and North Carolina. Very good news, at least for areas in the southern mid-Atlantic and down into the southeast that are still sort of in a drought mode. We've gotten quite a bit of rain lately, and this will definitely knock it all out, and it'll be done. 1.5 inch amounts going back to the Ohio Valley, 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch and upwards to an inch or more in a band from Michigan down into Oklahoma and Kansas. And on the northern edge of this low track, we're going to see heavy snow and probably blizzard conditions. Again, this is for the Tuesday system. It's kind of hard to differentiate the two, so I'm trying to make it clear that what's in the east is two systems combined. And out in the west, we've got several to many inches from Northern California up the coast of the Pacific Northwest. Now, as far as snow is concerned with the first weather system, we have WPC's forecast, and we're still in this long range period. So when you take a look at this, this is the probability for, let's call it a few inches, and by a few inches I mean 2 or 3, okay, for at least that amount, okay. These areas, this is the probability of exceeding 2 or 3 inches. And in the light green, it's a 10 to 30% chance, and that covers Long Island, coastal Connecticut, southeastern New England, down through New Jersey, except uh, the New Jersey coast, across Delaware, Maryland, into Virginia. Then you get into the darker greens in northern New Jersey, just north and west of Philadelphia, just north and west of New York City, and then for Connecticut, Rhode Island, most of Massachusetts, on up into southern New Hampshire and Vermont, and then back up into the Hudson Valley. We're looking at a 30 to 50% chance to exceed that 3 inch amount. And in these blue area, the blue area that you see in West Virginia, northwestern Virginia, central into northeastern Pennsylvania, northwest New Jersey, and the Catskills, there is a 50 to 70% chance that you will be exceeding at least a few inches out of all of this. It's Wednesday. Probably we'll start being able to get more specific tomorrow, Thursday, when we get inside that 3-day time frame, and then we can look at the probabilities for at least 2 inches and 4 inches in WPC's short-term, short-range forecast outlook. So here's how it plays out going forward, and I just want to quickly show you the upper air because this is really where we've had a lot of trouble with the models showing a much more dynamic system in the upper atmosphere for the weekend system than it's turning out to be. If we just rotate it back here today, you see that upper low that comes into the west, moves across the south, and then starts to open up and lift northeastward. This was shown to be much better defined in earlier runs. Now it's a bit weaker. It's not as well defined. So that leads to forecast complications with the potential for warmer air to come in from off the ocean. Then you have a second system that's going to be rolling along, and you see it here diving out of the Pacific Northwest on Sunday into the Southwest. And this is a really wrapped up animal as it heads to the lower Mississippi Valley and then lifts up towards the Great Lakes. And that's going to wind up being a major storm. And I think it also is going to be a significant player in this long pattern change process that we've been in since just after Christmas. And I think it's going to lead to a colder, more wintry pattern that's a bit more consistent as we go into the longer term. But that's something we'll talk about tonight. So in the meantime, here's how we see it playing out as far as Saturday is concerned. So you can see this low that comes across the southwest with snow in Arizona and New Mexico tomorrow morning. It moves into Oklahoma. Then you start to see the low reform along the Gulf Coast. Starts to turn northeastward up the coast on Saturday. By Saturday evening, snow will be over Pennsylvania and New Jersey, and also down in southern Pennsylvania into western Maryland and West Virginia. The low's going to try to slide to the east, and we're just on that borderline. The big cities, New York, Baltimore, Washington, Philadelphia, New York City, just kind of lying right on the borderline of this between all snow and a mix, and then just plain rain, which makes the snow forecast difficult. That low pulls out. We still have upper troughing to get through Sunday afternoon, so there'll probably be some leftover snow around. And then it's going to turn cold Sunday night, Monday, and Monday night because we have another big high building in southeastern Canada. And here comes that powerhouse out of New Mexico and heading east. And that storm, the low itself, is going to go well to our west. But I think with that big high to the north, there's a chance that we could see for inland areas later Tuesday night, a fairly substantial front end thumping of snow. And you can see it here how the GFS plays it out. Also, notice really big rains moving across the Gulf states and the southeast. There's likely to be severe weather with that. And then the other thing to pay attention to is not only the heavy rain that we will ultimately see Tuesday night into Wednesday morning, the gradient gets incredibly tight. And I think we're going to see very strong winds develop from the south-southeast, picking up to gusts to probably over 50 miles an hour Tuesday night into Wednesday morning as that front goes by, and then it turns colder and drier behind it once the low moves away. And we've got other systems down the road that the models seem to be keying on. So clearly, we are in a very busy weather pattern that has very slowly but gradually developed over North America, and a lot different than what it was through the first part for much of the month of December. So tune in tonight at 7:35 p.m. for the Joe and Joe Weather Show. So we'll have all the latest on the weekend system, and then the follow-up major storm that'll be moving across the eastern half of the United States Tuesday into Wednesday.